All right, hey everybody, welcome back. I'm here with James Carmody at Synergy One Lending. I have known James for years now, and he is an absolutely amazing guy. He's the partner and vice president at Synergy One Lending in San Diego. He is an outstanding mortgage broker, and he can find a loan for you, not just like everybody else, but with high tech, modern day experiences. But he's also trustworthy and just a all up good guy from the Northeast. So I don't know. How did I do with that intro, James? Was I accurate?
I think you were pretty accurate, and I appreciate the accolades. I've been a lender for 21 years. I've served over 3,000 families. Absolutely love it. Um, Personally, married, got a couple young boys, 8 and 5. Got a big old crazy dog, lab wire hair mix. It's about 110 pounds. And yeah, just blessed to live in San Diego and love being in the mortgage business.
Outstanding. All right. So tell us, I like to always start because it's fascinating. I talk to people all the time on these and to hear where and how they came from to where they're at today. So, like, where from the business mindset and why lending, like, kind of walk us through your progression from childhood through schooling to any career stuff to where you're at today. Walk us through that timeline because it's always interesting to hear people's stories.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, thanks for asking. My my journey. So, like you said, I grew up in the Northeast. I grew up in a small town about 25 miles south of Boston on the coast called Situate. And, Situate is a population of like 19, 20,000. Half are blue collar folks where your buddy's dad is the landscaper, another guy's the carpenter, another guy's the electrician. And then the other half are like white collar that are either working from home or commuting into the city. I grew up, I was the son of a ship pilot. My dad was retired Navy, and then he was a Boston Harbor pilot for 42 years. And, so I always was around the ocean a ton as a kid. And, I think I was probably 11 or 12 when I first got my lobstering license, where you could get a family lobstering license. You could have 10 lobster traps, and you could go out and pull those traps, catch them, sell them, eat them, whatever. I got my first boat when I was also right around 12 or 13, and it was the 16-foot wooden skiff that had a hole in it the size of a basketball hoop. And I put more fiberglass on that sucker to like keep it afloat, but I love the thing. And I would start pulling those traps and I would do the lobstering as a job. And it, started to teach me kind of work ethic as well as a little bit of sales. Cause, I might go out, pull 10 traps, get 4 or 5 lobsters, and then go knock on the neighbor's door with a bucket full of lobster. You want a lobster, $5, right? I was a picky kid. I wasn't eating those things. So I was selling them or giving them to my parents. But, in that kind of, being in the water so much and being down the docks, then you start to meet some of the commercial fishermen and some of the older guys. And, when I was 14, started to work on a gill net boat, and we were catching cod and dogfish and flounder. And that became my summer job every summer from high school through college. And then in college, on like Christmas breaks or longer breaks, I would come back and work on the boat. And by the time I was in college, I worked myself up to the number one boat in the harbor and was the deck boss. We had a little crew of 4 guys, and I absolutely loved it. But I learned you kind of eat what you kill, if you will. Like if you don't catch any fish, you don't get paid. So we got to be good. We got to work hard. We got to be fast. We got to learn to work with a team. And as you can imagine, commercial fishing, it's like you have different personalities and mood swings. Like everything that's in your head right now is spot on. And, you're trying to manage and navigate that. And I absolutely loved it. The kind of the sad part is I knew that there wasn't a future in that. Like you couldn't support a family and, really do very well long term, and this is late 90s, early 2000s. So I took some government money to get out of fishing and went to business school and loved business school. I went to Fairfield University in Connecticut, small Jesuit college, played rugby down there. Loved that. My brother was a rugby player. My uncle played for the U.S. national team after Vietnam. And so, I had a little introduction to it and fell in love with the sport. But I knew I had to get good grades. So I was getting my butt to those classes in business school. And those were the classes that I really excelled at. I really enjoy finance. I've been a math nerd since I was a little kid, love puzzles. And I didn't know it at the time, but those would become the most important attributes and skill set to be a successful mortgage loan officer. So fast forward, I graduate May of '03. I'm like, I need one more summer on the boat. I need another summer in the sun. And then I will put the resume together and I will go to Wall Street. Like everybody else from my school, I will go to Wall Street, get into finance, learn trading, learn some type of, selling of financial products. Lo and behold, the fishing season ends. I've got a couple friends in San Diego. They're like, hey, you should come business. I'm like, sure. I haven't put the resume together yet. I don't really have a path. I'll come hang out and party for a week. Well, that week became 3 weeks, and I fell in love with San Diego over the course of that 3 weeks. Went home, broke up with the girlfriend because I knew we were not getting married. Told my parents I was moving across country, and a buddy and I, he was going to LA. I was coming to San Diego. We showed up the week of Thanksgiving in 2003, and in San Diego became home. After hanging out for a couple of weeks, I went on 5 job interviews. 4 of those companies that I interviewed with were mortgage companies. And it was right when mortgage rates really started to come down. This is like fall of '03. And my first day in the mortgage business was December 15th, 2003. And I closed my first loan in early February. And the client was ecstatic because the rate wasn't over 8%. It was like 7.99 on like a 2 or 3 year arm. And they were over the moon because we were saving them hundreds of dollars. And again, it wasn't 8%. So that puts things into perspective to where we are now, hovering high 5s, low 6s, and down from 7s. And people are like, oh my God, it's too high. It's like, get some perspective on things. But that's kind of my journey into the mortgage business. I am a believer in God and higher power. And I think that kind of the timing and everything, like it was just something that I was meant to do. It's, again, back to the really loving math and puzzles and numbers and really loving people. Like I can enjoy someone from all walks of life, all different backgrounds. I will find commonality with that person very fast and find something that I enjoy and appreciate and respect in them. And I think those 2 skill sets are a big part of my success as a loan officer.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm listening to you talk and I'm like, man, when I meet people, I should just do this. I learned more about you in what, 8 minutes, 6 minutes than I've known about you on all the breakfasts we've gone to, the coffees, the work events we've done. Like, dude, I had no idea your dad was a shipping pilot.
As a young kid, I would go with him on boats, like as a teenager and stuff. And like, it's dad, right? Like, not really that cool. But then he's commanding a ship with a whole staff and crew of hundreds of people that are looking up to this person.
Right. So there's a lot of people that don't know what a shipping pilot is, right? So I don't even know if you know this about me. I have a captain's license, unlimited tonnage, merchant marine. It's a big deal, and many of my friends are shipping pilots. So basically these container ships, these oil tankers, these cruise ships that you see sailing around the world, when they go into most ports from a liability reason, the companies, or it's a port requirement, it depends on where you're at, will hire a specialist pilot. So they'll bring that pilot out by boat, by pilot boat, by tugboat, or by helicopter in some places, drop them off on these ships. They will take command of these big 1,000-foot ships and drive them all the way in through the channels, through the turns, under bridges, and dock them up alongside safely so they can offload or unload their cargo of choice. And that's a very, very hard industry to get into. Number one, because of the license and the training requirements, but also supply and demand. There's only so many pilots in the world. And that is, I had no idea he was a pilot. And I think that's awesome that you got to grow up around that, because that is a very cool career path.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, super unique. Like even like a port like Boston, that's one of the larger ports on the planet. There's only 12 to 15 pilots at a time. And like my dad did that job for 42 years. And like to your point, it's very difficult to get into. I think it was a little bit of luck, a little bit of nepotism. He came back from the Korean War and was riding around on a Harley, and his mom was like, "You need a job. Your cousin's an apprentice for this Boston Harbor Pilot Company," and he's like, "Okay, I'll do it." And so then he was apprentice, low man on the totem pole for like 10 years, and then became a full blown pilot. And then you work your way up, and then you have ownership in that company. And each port and harbor is a little bit different. But yeah, there's only a handful of guys or gals that run that port. And when they get in, they're in, you know.
And that business model, and we don't need to get into how and whys, but that business model of the apprenticeship and the ownership and the pilot and full blown, like that's different than many other industries, any industries around that I know of. It's pretty freaking cool. So congrats, like that's awesome on that. Second thing, I get it now. I get where your drive and your grit and your grind and your hard work comes from. And I always wonder, I'm fascinated by psychology, but I always wonder, where are you born with this, or is this created, or was there an event or events in your life that make you who you are today, right? And I heard, and I know, because the fishing, me being in the maritime space, the fishing industry is very difficult. And even though you started out hobby wise and at a young age and grew it into a business, that that hard work equals money. So if you're not out on the water, if you're not pulling traps, if you don't have lines in the water, guess what? You're not going to catch a fish, which means guess what? You're not making any money. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, James, but today's the same day. If you're not talking to a client, talking to a realtor, talking to whatever, you're not going to make money in the lending space. You don't just wake up and show up. You wake up every day unemployed, waiting, finding your next client, and it's just like fishing. Am I wrong?
100%. I think it's very, very similar, in that, the loan officer role is 100% commission. If you don't close any loans, you don't get paid, no one gets fed, and I have, a stay at home wife. I call her the CEO of the house, but like I got to bring in the revenue and the money for her and the boys to keep the water and the lights on and everybody fed. And then I've also got a team. So I've got multiple employees and staff, and they have kids and they have old parents that need care and all that stuff. So like I put all that on me, and it's my job to produce every single day. And to the psychology piece, I'm with you. I'm fascinated by psychology too. I think you touched on a few things. I think, yes, you can be born with a little bit. Like I think you can have a bend to be a more driven person or a lazier person. I also think it's the environment you grew up in. Like, did you have a parent or both parents that were really hardworking, or a family member that you saw regularly and you're like, okay, they're working really hard. I admire that quality or trait in them. I'm going to build that and develop that in myself. And then I also think too, like there can be an event, like some people call it a chip on your shoulder. For me, like physically, I was a late bloomer. Like, so I was like small, high pitched voice going through junior high and high school. And like, I was smart enough to be social and outgoing and have a lot of friends and play sports and get good grades. But like, I was the high pitched, like small kid. And my buddies like teased the heck out of me. And I think part of that gave me like a little chip of like, I'll show you. And so it's become a motivator for me to like, okay, I want to be the same level as my peers, if not way above. And I might not, consciously be saying I'll show you, but I think somewhere buried back there is, look at me now, and I think that's a healthy, good thing, right? The psychology piece, I think there's a few pieces and factors that contribute to our level of motivation as an adult.
Yep, I agree 100%. I think that is awesome. All right, so the other thing I learned about you on this is I didn't know you're a rugby player. Did I ever talk to you about my rugby days?
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't great. Like I was definitely never the natural athlete, but I love sports and I love camaraderie. So yeah, I was a hooker, which is the guy in the middle of the scrum on the front row that literally hooks the ball with their feet. I'm a little tall for a hooker, but that was kind of the position that fit and was available and I could earn my way into. But I had a blast. I mean, we played tournaments all over, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, Long Island, New York City. and then we'd play tournaments in the Caribbean on spring break and stuff. Absolutely love it.
So remind me the team you played for. I know you said it earlier. Say it again.
So I went to Fairfield University.
Okay.
It's like a small Jesuit college, really good business school in Connecticut, but it's literally like 4,000 undergrad and then like another 1,000 graduate students.
And you guys played D1 rugby there?
No, it's club.
Not because rugby's a club sport, so it's not NCAA. But were you in? Did you play the Boston
Yeah,
Colleges and
it's not Division
UMasses
One.
and Seton Halls and all of those guys, or not? Like,
No, we're playing your Bryants, your Armies, your different schools in
okay,
Long Island and New York.
got it.
Yeah.
I played fly half in college. My roommate was scrum half. I was a fly half. I played 4 years there, and yeah, that took some life out of me. A couple of years off my life now because you wake up every day still achy and in pain. But man, that was it's just that whole um, I don't know that whole team that sport is just a very unique sport where you're blood, sweat, and tears during the game, and then your best friends minutes after. I mean, you could be fighting and rough and pissed off, and then you're drinking a beer and doing Zulus 5 minutes later and hanging out like you guys are best friends for life. So it's a that I thought that was very cool on that sport of it because I didn't grow up playing rugby. I didn't play rugby until I went to college. But yeah, man, I love fly half.
So Synergy One Lending, like the company itself, like we're considered a mid-sized mortgage bank, meaning we fund about $1 billion a quarter, a little over $4 billion a year. Um, we are very kind of tech forward, modern thinking, already using artificial intelligence a lot. My personal business, I run a small branch, got a couple loan officers. 90% of the revenue and volume is from my own personal production. My support staff looks like an executive assistant that literally runs my calendar, runs my day, makes sure that I look good and I'm where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be, and that everything happens. And then I've got two partners, one on the front and one in the back. The one in the back kind of operates when we get into contract and into escrow all the way through to closing. Um, she's an absolute badass. She's early 60s, your single grandma that's been processing mortgage loans for 30 years. Literally knows everything front to back and is very, very efficient and fast, which is great because she can carry a big pipeline and still deliver like world-class white glove client experience, which is for me a number one is the client experience. And then on the front end, I've got a guy that's been with me 11 years. IQ is off the charts, like one of the smartest people that I've ever met. Typically the smartest person the room he's in. I need to get him to be like, slow down, ask more, how are you doing? Okay, thank you, like that, because that guy can pull apart a puzzle, solve a problem within seconds, and keep moving. But he's great. So, like, I like running a pretty lean and mean team because I want to be the face of the transaction with the client. If it's my name on the pre-approval letter and I say that you're good to buy this house, that is as good as cash. That deal does not fall apart. And so I'm the one talking to them, not passing it off to another staff member and hoping they do a good job or giving them some checklist to run. I don't believe in that model. Could I possibly make more money by scaling up and having all these staff and just doing marketing? Maybe, but I genuinely enjoy it. Like I genuinely enjoy meeting with a person, say, why are you buying this house? Like an hour before we recorded this, two first-time home buyers. She's a truck driver for FedEx and he's a plumber. And they're buying a house up in Orange County. It's got an ADU for her parents to live in, and they are over the moon. And there's like 4 family members contributing to the down payment so they can buy this. I was like another foot taller coming off of that Zoom call. And some people would just be like, it's just another deal. It's not. It's not. For them, it's everything. Those people have worked their asses off to make this dream come true. And for me, I'm the one they chose. And it's my privilege, my honor to serve them and make sure that they have an extraordinary experience and everything goes as smooth as possible and that they're happy when they get keys in their hand. And that's how I run the business. It's me and 2 support people.
And I've seen that firsthand, and I don't want to gloss over that. Like, and I appreciate it. You're such like a humble guy, but Like the little things that you do go such a long way, not just on the professional real estate side, but on the client facing side too. So let's dive into both of those. Like just you mentioned, if my name's on the pre-approval, then I'm going to make sure it's good as cash. Like you are talking to the right people. Many lenders out there, or you could go online and click a couple buttons and get a pre-approval letter. But guess what? Me as a realtor, like that, as a licensed realtor, that is not going to get your offer accepted. But the fact that you go above and beyond and say, hey, Mrs. Seller's agent, I want to tell you about my clients. They're not there. I know them. I've built a relationship with them. They're not just another number. Here's the deal, and they are solid. And here's why they're solid. And you back that, and your reputation, along with their financials, really just tells the story that I think is so valuable at helping get offers accepted. And we're not in a bidding war time now, but we have been. And guess who's winning? James Carmody at Synergy One, because he's going the extra mile with that, paired up with the realtor who's going the extra mile and putting in the human aspect of getting your offer accepted. So that's huge. And then the other piece of it is, and that's just one of many things you do different than other lenders. The other piece is the customer service with the client, right? I've seen you interact with these people. You will talk people out of a deal. And like you said, why are you buying the house? Yeah, you're a foot taller and you're excited for these guys. Cool. But you've also done the opposite. They're like, your job's shaky. Do you know they just did layoffs? Are you sure you want to buy the house? What happens if this? And as a you're not out just to get another deal done. And I love that about you. You will talk people out of deals, or, and I say that harshly because my delivery is not great, or make sure they're focused on the right reasons. And I think that's so cool. And that's the feedback that I probably never told you that clients tell me. They're like, he's just such an honest guy. And that's who you want to surround yourselves with. So, anyways, those are my two things that you glossed over, but I wanted to focus on.
For me, integrity matters. And integrity is a very, very important thing that I do not mess with. And if I say that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I look at each client as if it was my brother or sister or a family member. And I'll be the first one to tell them, like, hey, like, you're at the max of your qualifications, and I know that you do not have other income sources. Are you sure you want to do this? And I'll literally coach people up on how I would do it and give them the why. I'm never going to bruise anybody's ego. I'm going to say, having done this 3,000 times and owned 24 properties, this is why you shouldn't do it this way. Let's do it this way, right? And then you're setting them up for success, because then we're also talking, like, we're looking at people's credit reports. We're looking at their 401ks. We're looking at all the finances, and the real estate's an important piece, but it's a part. It's not everything. It's all got to fit. And if you've got a couple and they're maxing everything out, but then they're going to rob from their 401k contribution, and then they're going to stop doing date night twice a month, I failed. Forget the underwriting guidelines. I failed. Everything's got to fit for them. It's all got to work.
And that you can take that to a 10,000 feet up or 5,000 feet up above that. Everything's got to fit in your puzzle, but everything's got to also fit because you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? If the area or the property, but if the realtor is bad on either side, if the clients have the wrong mindset or the wrong attitude, or like that's a big puzzle that every piece has to fall into place, especially in real estate today. Let's shift into your technology, because that's another thing that stands out. I know you have the S1 Connect, right? I believe is what you call it. Like, let's talk about that and any other just things that make the experience easy. Like some people either make it easy and have no customer service, some have customer service and make it really hard. I think you found the balance of making it easy while providing good customer service. So can we talk about some of your technology and why or how you make it easy for people?
So I think one of the first things that you mentioned is our mobile called S1 Connect. And that is literally an app that someone can download on their phone. They could be sitting on the beach in La Jolla Shores, download the mobile app, answer some questions about their personal information, their residence history, their employment income, and then literally link bank accounts, link income, sometimes alleviating the need for us to ask for those documents at all. And they can do all that in a matter of 5-10 minutes, however fast they are connecting things. My team and I get a notification that it's done. We text or call or email them right away and say, hey, congratulations, thank you. Here's when we can have you meet with James. But all this can be done in a matter of minutes. And let's say that, like, obviously I'm in my office, you see my background, but you could be the loan officer that might be sitting on the other end of that beach that doesn't enjoy going into the office and putting on business attire. You can literally do a soft credit pull from the mobile app on the back end, calculate the income, run it through our algorithm that looks at all of our loan programs, all of our investors, spits out who the best rate and pricing is, and then quote them on those numbers within minutes. Like, it can all be done very, 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 very fast.
So the days of people having to go back and pull this and fax it here or scan it and email it and upload, those days are gone, which is awesome for you guys, working with you guys and getting the rate. So I want to transition, because you brought up a good point, and whether you're a savvy buyer or a first time buyer, some people don't even recognize this, right? So you mentioned you can go and look at all the different rates and all the different programs and all the different banks. You're a mortgage broker is what you are. You are not a bank.
So bank meaning we're lending our own money at, a wide range of products in-house. And then if for some reason we don't have the best terms, or we just don't have the right product that's the best fit, we've got 80 to 90 different broker relationships that we can then search and sift through.
That's best of both worlds, where I was going with that. And I learned something again new today. I thought you were just a broker. Where I was going with that is, if you call a credit union or a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo, they are very, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they are very restricted on programs and products that they can use. And guess what? Just because you bank with a certain bank doesn't mean they're the best loan product for you to buy a house. Where a broker can then go out and have relationships with many different banks, many different products, and many different rates to help coach, guide, and navigate you through the relationship you built of finding that best product for the consumer. But you guys cover both then. You have your in-house programs. Yeah.
We cover both, which it's almost like cheating. It's kind of like we get the best of both worlds, because, like, I have a banking relationship for my business and for my family with a big box bank. They've got their box. And if you fit in it, you fit in it. If you don't, you don't. And sometimes you might have millions of dollars with them and they still won't make exceptions if you don't fit in that box. So I live in, my family, we live in North Pacific Beach. And I've got a lot of clients kind of in that PB La Jolla coastal area. I've done 7 loans for employees of one of the big box banks that has a branch in La Jolla. And it's because their box is like this and the process is too clunky. And they don't focus on the client experience and customer service. They're just another number going through, their giant pipeline. So I like having the best of both worlds. Like, for us, when I say bank, that just means we're lending the money and underwriting the loan. So we've got full control because it's a Synergy team member that's underwriting that loan all the way through to closing. And then the broker side, if for some reason they don't fit in any of our in-house programs, we can tap into those 80, 90 different broker channels and say, hey, we're not the best fit, but XYZ broker channel is, and I'm going to package it up and get it all done for you.
Amazing. Where do you practice and where don't you practice? What states are you in? If I recall, you're in many, many states, if not all of them, but where are you at right now?
Yeah, so we do business in every state currently except for New York. New York's got some interesting laws around co-ops and things like that. Being someone from the Northeast, my college friends, when I get referrals like that, I have a buddy who's a big lender in New Jersey that I refer them to. But outside of New York, we lend in the other 49 states. My personal kind of book of business seems to be San Diego and all over California. And then Arizona, Texas, Florida, and then New England, where I'm from.
Amazing. So if somebody's relocating, if somebody's buying an investment property, a multifamily, they can call you no matter where it is because they have the relationship with you, or hear this and be like, he's a great guy. I want to do business with him. They can call you and you can help service their loan in any of the states.
I have a cousin that he and his best high school buddy are buying a lake house in New Hampshire, and we're helping them right now. And
Amazing.
yeah, so it's fun and it's nice in that way. Social media has made the world so much smaller. People that you might not talk to or see all the time are like, oh yeah, like I can work with this person and they can help me buy that lake house in Michigan, or I want to go buy a duplex in Houston and create some cash flow and depreciation for my family. Great.
What are your goals? Where do you want to go with what you've already built? You built an amazing business. You have incredible numbers. Are your goal? What are your goals? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Like what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm on the, as my wife says, I am just over halfway to 90, and I'm like, babe, that's a really nice, loving way to put being, 46. So I'll be 50 in 4 years. And really, what I want to do is continue to serve my past clients and my current realtor partners at a very, very high level for at least the next 4 years and continue to grow my production. And then after that, I want to start to give back to the industry more. That's given so much to me. Like I mentioned, my assistant earlier, she's literally 21. She's one of my realtor's youngest of three daughters. And the girl is just pumped on life. She's motivated. She's like, college isn't for me. I want to get in the working field. I want to do real estate. I'm like, cool, come be my assistant for 2 years. And then I'll start to teach you the loan officer side of things. You got to learn operations first and all the rules. And then we'll start to work on some sales skills. But so I'll train her up. But I think in another 4 or 5 years, I'll start to bring on like 2 at a time that are super green, no experience, and teach them the mortgage business and see if they've got, really the emotional fortitude to hack it and can handle the stress and the pressure and the drive. But for those that can, it's a wonderful industry and a wonderful career that they can create for themselves. So that's what I see my, into my 50s being, and is getting some more young people into this industry because, a lot of us are turning into dinosaurs slowly, and we could use some fresh blood in here.
Halfway to 90. Halfway to 90. Uh,
Yeah, you can tell Kara that later. Like, I'm like, wow, that's really nice, babe. Thank you.
that's a great way to put it. Okay, so that's awesome. I love that, and yeah, just giving it back, and it's just there's just so much to give when you have the experience, and not everybody wants to learn, but if you can find those people like you found and help grow, and it's a win-win for everybody, and I think that's awesome, and that just again shows what type of person you are. Um, where can people reach out to you? What's the best way? Is it through social? Is it email? Is it phone numbers? If they just want to talk about lobster fishing, or if they want to get a loan, or if they want whatever, where can they reach out to you?
I'm pretty easy, to find and reach. If you want to follow me on social media, Instagram is at the THE James Carmody, THEJAMESCARMODY, at the James Carmody. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. You can follow me there. You'll see plenty of nerdy mortgage and real estate content. You'll also see a dad with 2 wild kids and a crazy dog who's trying to navigate and figure out life. Or people can text me. A lot of people just text me. I'll give out my personal cell phone, which is 858-525-3086, 858-525-3086. But yeah, if I can help somebody get clarity on any part of their life, personally or professionally, from my experiences, happy to.
And that's another reason right there. I interview, talk to people, podcast people all the time. Not everybody, rarely people give out their cell phone. And I think that's just another attribute of why you are so successful and just a good person. And not to abuse it and text you at 2 a.m. in the morning, whatever, but you will respond and you will answer. And that's part of this service that you provide people. like many lenders and bankers, they sit behind their desk and work 9 to 5, and that's not you. And I will say that because you're humble, but like you're just a good dude, and I am glad you're in my life. I'm glad you're part of my circle and trust and helping people that I know. And thanks for coming on here and doing this. This is cool. It's just neat to hear. Like I said, I should have done this years ago when we met, but to hear the stories is that's my new thing. I want to hear how people got to where they are in life and where they're going. So thank you for coming on here. I appreciate everything. I wish you continued success for the end of the year and your best numbers ever in 26. And I'll see you around on the next time we have breakfast, lunch, or coffee or something.
I appreciate the opportunity to come on and share my story. You're an amazing guy. You're a great dad. You're a good businessman. And, it's an honor to be in your circle. And I appreciate our time together today.
All right. Hey, thanks so much. Take care and keep up the good work.